Ever imagine living in a rolling ball with glades of sparkling diamonds raining down on your head? Well, you'll need to find yourself a new home because clearly it doesn't rain diamonds on Earth. But thankfully, you won't have to search far because we've found the right home for you. So grab your jacket and join us in today's video as we explore the cold and windy terrain of Uranus, your next fantasy home. According to history, Uranus was formed by swirling gases and dust pulled together by gravity some 4.5 billion years ago, about the same time that our solar system was created. But it was officially discovered in the year 1781 by astronomer William Herschel. Initially, William had erroneously tagged Uranus as a star or comet, but after further research by another astronomer named Johann Alert Bode, it was officially accepted as a planet. Johann is also credited for naming the planet Uranus after the Greek god of the sky, following William Herschel's unsuccessful attempt to name the gigantic planetary body Georgium Sidus in memory of King George III. Measuring 25,362 kilometres, 15,759.2 miles in radius, Uranus is the third largest planet in our solar system. The large celestial body is about 4 times wider and 15 times heavier than our Earth. To put it into perspective, if Earth were the size of a nickel, Uranus would be about the size of a softball. Uranus has 90% of the gravity we experience on Earth. Like its next-door neighbour Neptune, scientists believe Uranus initially formed closer to the Sun before moving to the outer solar system about 4 billion years ago. Nowadays, the planet has moved so far away that it is the 7th planet from the Sun. The average distance between Uranus and the Sun is about 2.9 billion kilometres, 1.8 billion miles. On average, a text message from Earth to Uranus would take about 2.7 hours to be delivered. Ironically, Uranus is slightly larger in diameter than Neptune, yet smaller in mass. It is also the second least dense planet in our solar system behind Saturn. Tilting almost 90 degrees, the equator of Uranus nearly forms a right angle with its orbit. So far, Uranus is the only planet in our solar system that experiences this weird phenomenon that causes it to flip sideways while orbiting the Sun like a rolling ball. Scientists have tried several times over the past decade to find out why Uranus has this strange tilt, but their attempts have been unsuccessful so far. However, some theorists believe it was due to a collision with an Earth-sized object many decades ago. One day on Uranus is 17 hours long, which is equivalent to 46% of a normal day on Earth. Interestingly, Uranus needs 30,687 days to complete one full orbit around the Sun, meaning 1 year on this big gas giant is equal to 84 years on Earth. And due to the unique tilt we discussed earlier, Uranus has the most extreme seasons in the solar system. At first, the extreme tilt causes the Sun to shine directly over the North Pole for around half of the Uranian year. In other words, if you ever find yourself on Uranus, you'll experience 42 consecutive years. You would better make the best of it though, because your next 42-year cycle will be spent in total darkness. Additionally, Uranus is one of the only 2 planets in our solar system that rotates from east to west. Venus is the other culprit. Uranus is surrounded by 13 faint and elegant rings and 27 known moons. These irregularly shaped moons are smaller than the Earth's moon, but in any case, they'll make an awe-inspiring view at night. As standard practice, most satellites orbiting other planets are named after strong characters in Greek or Roman mythology. But that's not the case for Uranus. The satellites that hover around this gas giant are named after characters from the works of iconic creations like William Shakespeare and Alexander Pope. According to scientists, the inner moons of Uranus are composed of water, ice and rocks in equal proportion. However, the composition of its outer moons are still unknown, but some schools of thought believe they are most likely captured asteroids. Just like the moons, the beautiful rings around Uranus are split into 2 sets. One set consists of inner rings, while the other set is made up of the outer rings. A total number of 9 rings exists in the inner system. This set of rings are dark grey in colour and a narrow shape. Meanwhile, the rings in the outer system are divided into two subcategories. One category contains reddish and dusty rings, while the other contains colourful blue rings like Saturn's E-ring. In any case, the rings of Uranus are named in order of increasing distance from the planet. Like other gas giants in the outer solar system, Uranus is left without a true surface. It is mostly composed of swirling fluids, which basically means it doesn't have a landing spot for spacecraft or humans. The extreme pressures and temperatures around the atmosphere make it difficult for space probes to observe the planet from close range. The closest we've ever got was in 1986, when NASA's Voyager 2 spacecraft flew past the planet, capturing a few discrete clouds, a small dark spot, and a great dark spot. Had Voyager 2 attempted to fly closer to Uranus than it did, it would have completely melted within a couple of minutes, and its journey into the interstellar world would have been impossible. But thankfully, it didn't. Voyager 2 remains the only spacecraft to explore Uranus, but more recently, scientists have discovered new fascinating features about Uranus, like its dynamic clouds, which are visible as it approaches the equinox, and also the constantly changing brightness. The atmosphere on Uranus is dominated by hydrogen and helium, two of the most available elements in the universe. The gas giant also has methane and some small amounts of water and ammonia as part of its composition around its small core. The methane gives the planet its signature blue-green colour. The average temperature around the planet's atmosphere is around minus 224 degrees Celsius, meaning it is quite possibly colder than some parts of Neptune. Despite having the coldest planetary atmosphere in the solar system, scientists believe it potentially is the best spot for life on the planet. Precipitation does occur on Uranus, but in a different way. As expected, methane undergoes chemical reaction to become carbon. This abundant carbon is then converted to diamonds under the intense pressure of Uranus. So living on Uranus could literally turn your fortunes around, albeit you will need to find a way to export your treasure back to Earth. Good luck with finding an interplanetary logistics company that can move your precious luggage back to your home planet. Uranus is also prone to extreme winds, which sometimes reach peak levels of up to 900 kilometres (560 miles) per hour. The winds are said to be retrograde at the equator, blowing in reverse to the planet's rotation. But as you move closer to the poles, the winds align with the planet's rotation. It is due to these intense winds and extremely low temperatures that Uranus is fondly described as a cold and windy planet. But as you move closer to the core, the temperature rises to about 4,982 degrees Celsius or 9,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Unlike most planets in our outer solar system, Uranus's magnetic field does not align with the planet's rotation. Rather, the magnetic axis is tilted at an angle of around 60 degrees from the planet's axis of rotation. Due to this slanted magnetic field, the auroras on Uranus do not align with the poles like they do on other planets like Jupiter, Saturn and Earth. Unfortunately, Uranus is not one of those planets that holds the potential to support complex life due to its extreme levels of pressure and temperature around the planet's core. So unless scientists find a way to create a habitable hub on Uranus, your quest to harvest the abundant diamonds on this gas giant will remain a fantasy.